Hi, everybody. This is Candace, and this is part two of preparing and surviving the holidays after the death of a loved one. In my last video, I focused on grieving adults. If you haven't watched part one, you might want to check it out. In it, I shared information helpful to reducing the dread of the holidays after a loss. And today I'll be focusing on children because helping your child understand and cope with loss can be a difficult process, especially during a time of year centered around family and traditions and joyful celebrations. For months, we've been flooded with holiday-themed sights and tastes and sounds that sometimes trigger our memories of time spent with loved ones who are gone, and it increases our feelings of pain and loss. The combination of holiday expectations and grief can be overwhelming at any age, but it can be particularly confusing and emotional for a child, whether they're experiencing their first holiday after the death of a loved one or coping in the years following. There are a number of ways you can help your child understand loss and develop healthy coping skills. Try to keep your child's routine as consistent as possible following the loss of a loved one. Predictability provides security. Security, comfort, and reassurance will help manage your child's fears and guide them through the grieving process. The grieving process is different at all developmental levels, so remember that children process things differently than adults. So they won't tell you when they're upset because sometimes they just don't know how to communicate it. It might end up coming out in their behaviors. Most notably, preschool-age children tend to grieve in smaller increments of time. They may transition quickly from crying one minute to playing the next. This doesn't mean your child is finished grieving. It simply allows them to cope without getting overwhelmed. One of the emotions you might encounter in grieving children is anger. They may wonder or even ask you why they have to spend this holiday without their loved one. This is a huge loss, and they're angry that life has turned out this way. They might even start acting differently around the holidays, which might be more angry or aggressive, or the opposite. They might be more sad or depressed. So just be observant of your child's behavior around this time. They already know and are trying to process the fact that this holiday is going to be different. They might dread the holidays, and it might bring about confusion and guilt because they might not know how to respond to this day. If they enjoy it, does that betray the memory of the person they lost? If they're really sad, does that hurt the people who they have left? Like adults, they're experiencing the same grieving emotions, and this needs to be acknowledged. We need to help our children label their feelings. Keep a continual dialogue with your kids, but try not to ask them how they feel, because most kids just don't know. What you can do is help them label their feelings and model this for them as well. So when you're lighting a candle to honor your loved one, something I suggested in part one of this video or the other video, you can let them know that doing this makes you feel closer to the loved one. And when they see you crying, you can let them know that when you feel sad, you cry. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that they have to feel or respond the same way, but even if they do, that's okay too. We need to give them permission to grieve. We can prep our kids ahead of time for the holiday, letting them know that it's okay to miss the person they're longing for. It can be difficult for parents to see our children grieve. We want their pain to go away, so we try to make them laugh or avoid certain conversations so not to make them sad. But in actuality, it'd be best if we just allow them to walk through the pain and not try and rescue them, but be with them through the process. When we do this, we give them the time to heal and the freedom to experience the necessary emotions. So before Christmas, you might have a conversation that sounds something like this. Hey, sweetie, this Christmas, you may have a lot of different feelings because Dad's not here. You might feel really sad. You might want to cry. You might feel angry. You might even feel happy and excited because you're excited about your gifts, and that's okay. You're not hurting or betraying anybody by being happy, by being sad, or even being mad. You don't have to feel bad or guilty about any of the things that you're feeling. And if you want to talk about it, we can. And if you don't, that's okay too. This gives them the safety net necessary to go through the process. Also, be kind to yourself and be flexible. The holidays can be a busy, stressful time of year, and grief is challenging. So prioritize activities based on what feels comfortable to you and your family. Know that it's perfectly fine to change your plans and skip the holiday parties. Encourage your child to express their needs and listen to their thoughts regarding holiday plans and traditions. With this in mind, consider your child's personality in making plans. Is your child an introvert or an extrovert? An introvert is often thought of as a quiet, reserved, and thoughtful individual. They prefer small crowds and they need time alone to recharge after being around a lot of people. An extrovert, on the other hand, is thought to be enthusiastic, talkative, assertive, and outgoing. They're energized and thrive off being around lots of people. Being one or the other is neither good or bad. They're just descriptions of different personalities. Having this information about your child can be helpful in the planning process of how to spend the holidays. Also, involve your kids in the holiday planning process. Get out the paper and the pencils and the chalkboard and discuss the plans for the holidays together. I talked about planning in part 1 of Surviving the Holidays in that video, so you can use that as a guide and ask how they feel and what they think. This gives them some control and ownership of how the day may pan out for them as well. Also, over the holidays, we as parents, we try to protect our children. We want to make everything different so they don't feel different. But this may do more harm than good because, as I said before, children feel security in routines and traditions. It's okay to create a new normal and to adjust to the now, so you can discuss with your children what they want to change while still keeping some things the same. And whatever changes that are made, make sure that you're comfortable with it, because if you don't feel comfortable, that'll also impact your children. Don't ignore the loss of the loved one during the holidays. Their memory should not be the elephant in the room. Instead, remember their life in ways that are meaningful to you and your family. This may include sharing favorite memories at the table, creating a memory box, making a family collage or photo album, journaling about a past holiday, lighting a candle in remembrance. You can go for a walk at your loved one's favorite place or create an ornament in their memory. There are also places that will take the fabric and pieces of our loved one's clothes and make them into blankets and pillows. Again, bring your children into discussion and together plan how you'll honor your loved one. The process of grief is a journey that is unique for each person. And sometimes our own grief will make it difficult for us to help our kids. Find support and comfort in family and friends, and engage in self-care, and if need be, seek professional support if it becomes too much to handle on your own. Teaching your child healthy coping skills will help navigate them through a challenging holiday season, and will benefit them throughout the rest of their lives. I hope this video has been helpful to you, and until next time, happy holidays.